It's that time again, Our Town Live, where friends, family, people you know, and others you'd rather not know share with us their unique bits of wisdom. And now, here's Herb, your host, for another show.
Today we have with us Brian Bogert. Brian learned the wisdom of resiliency through his own early experiences with pain. As a child, he was run over by a truck and his left arm was detached from his body. Instead of succumbing to suffering because of the injury, Brian embraced the pain necessary to fully recover and flourish with a reattached arm, thanks to his persistent and proactive focus. Brian has continued to develop mindful and actionable tools for growth in his personal and professional endeavors. Before coaching full-time, he helped lead and grow the Phoenix location of global insurance brokerage firm Lockton Companies, where in just a decade they expanded the revenue from $250,000 to $15 million. Before that, he was a top earner as a sales professional and mentored new producers nationwide. His driving principle, if and how I can help, led him to be a founding member of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul's Professional Advisory Board, the Vinnies, and he holds positions on various other advisory boards and committees. Brian is a proud Phoenix native and even prouder father of 2 children with his beautiful wife. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of Redland. Without any more delay, here's Brian.
I am a human behavior and performance coach. I work with entrepreneurs, business owners, executives who don't know who they are, and as a result, they feel stuck, stymied in their efforts to fill their potential, and they are looking for the ability to not only rediscover who they are, but bring joy, freedom, and fulfillment back into their businesses, their relationships, and their lives. I work with people to become more aware and more intentional in everything that they do, and really leverage the fact that we are a byproduct of our emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, and environmental conditioning. So move those things into conscious awareness. Our business is really focused around all things helping people become who they are. And so that is my one-to-one coaching that I just described, but we also have self-led courses, we have group coaching, we have regular community conversations, and our company and everything that we are involved in are on a mission to impact 1 billion lives by 2045. What that means is to reduce the level of suffering on this planet, to allow joy, freedom, and fulfillment to enter into the world, and allow those things like authenticity and vulnerability, which are the glue that binds human connection, to bring us together and allow us to stand on our own 2 feet, knowing the world's going to accept us for who we are. That's what's going to leave this place a more beautiful world for both my kids and my grandkids.
How has your background influenced you into getting into this area?
Yeah, so that's a potentially long answer. I'll keep it succinct, though. When I was a kid, I was run over by a truck. My left arm was severed from my body. It was literally 10 feet away, reattached, and I had 24 surgeries over the course of the following 5-ish years, tons of recovery. From a mental and emotional stability, turmoil, and toughness, has really shaped a lot of who I am. And as a result of that, I've never wanted to be defined by anybody's boundaries, either individuals or the narratives that the world places on us, and caught a couple of really core lessons through my experience. I learned not to get stuck by what had happened to me, but instead get moved by what I could do with it. And I learned ultimately to embrace pain to avoid suffering. And it's these 2 lessons that also put me into a really unique position to not only overcome this unique injury, but how I spent 15 years in risk management and employee benefit consulting, the last 10 of which my head partners and I that scaled our entity to 15 million within the span of the last decade, and really understood leadership, business, leverage, scale, relationships, value, and impact in the ability to not just understand personal turmoil and adversity, but to scale a business from nothing to 15 million over that period of time also taught us a lot of those same lessons in the professional category, and how emotional intelligence and a lot of the concepts that I had learned from my personal life applied to leading people and organizations. So I've said for a long time, I build people and build organizations. I've also spent 40% of my time in the community, leading boards, philanthropic efforts, and creating new initiatives. All of those things have helped me really understand the human experience and how to bring the best out of people.
Tell me about your family.
Well, I am a husband and father first. My wife, I way out-kicked my coverage. She is smarter and better looking than me by far.
Okay.
And so every morning that I wake up and she's still in bed next to me, I consider it a victory right out of the gate, and I get to cheer and hurrah when she's still there. I'm forever indebted to her and the gift she gave me and our children. We've got a 7-year-old boy and an almost 6-year-old girl. Both have special needs. My son is on the autism spectrum, but very high functioning. And my daughter is hearing impaired and has double hearing aids. So we've had this idea of embracing pain to avoid suffering exist in our own household with our own children, so we can empower our kids to understand the pains they need to embrace so they can accomplish and push through the challenges that they have had in their world. I'm very, very blessed as well. I've got a nice extended family. My brother's 14 months older. He's one of my best friends still today. He's got a beautiful wife who is my sister now. My parents are both still alive and doing well and are huge role models in our entire family. And then I've got great in-laws, a sister-in-law and brother-in-law on that side of the family as well, as long as 3 nieces and nephews amongst both sides of the family. So I consider myself very blessed, and family is very important.
Where do you reside?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
What got you there?
I was born here.
Oh, a native.
And yeah, I'm one of the rare natives. Didn't live here very long when we first lived here. Lived in California for about 18 months, and then we were in Australia for about 18 months, and England for about 18 months. And then I've been back in Arizona since the time I was about 7, other than leaving for college and some professional travel over the years. This is the place I consider home. I'm addicted to the sunshine, so I have limited options to have 330 days plus of sunshine and know that I get to go out and have a beautiful environment to be outside. So, yeah, Arizona is my home, and even if I don't live here at some point, it will still be home.
Describe a typical day for you.
My days are very full. Life is very full. It's busting at the seams full. So my typical day starts between 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a pretty regimented 2.5 to 3.5 hour morning routine where I focus mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally on myself. I meditate, I journal, I read. I also, because of my body and the imbalance that I have in my back due to my injury, I don't have a lat on the left side of my back, I don't have a tricep in my left arm, and my bicep is my gracilis. And so I have a lot of physical pain in my body. And so I learned about 15 years ago I have to pay attention to that. So I have typically an hour of stretching and percussion therapy with a device. And then I also typically have about an hour of physical movement, which varies depending on what season of life I'm in. So by about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm done focusing on myself. But I think it's the least selfish thing I can do because it's what puts me in a position to be able to carry the weight for others. I then transition typically into my work day, where I have meetings on average between 12 and 14 hours stacked back to back most days, combination of coaching, speaking events, podcasts, centers of influence and networking type deals or meetings with my business partners or teams. That is very often Monday to Friday, pretty full days. And then typically between 5 and 5:30 every single evening, I shut off, go inside, have dinner with my family. We eat at the dinner table 6 out of 7 nights a week, reflect on our days, talk about what we learned, how we grew, what we challenged with and did anyway, and really just kind of get our kids framed up for a good night of sleep, get them through our nighttime routine. My wife and I, since our kids are babies, have alternated children who we cuddle with each night. So one night I get my son, the next night I get my daughter. But that's something that unless I'm traveling, do not sacrifice, is that 90 minutes to 2 hours every single night with my family. And then I close the evening either with getting myself organized and prepared for the next day, which happens every night. Sometimes it takes longer than other days, and then really recalibrating with my wife to make sure that we're having intentional touch base time with each other, so we can remind each other why we love each other, why we're together, and keep a regular and consistent momentum there, since she is my largest priority, but not always the greatest amount of time spent.
Does she work other than the kids?
She works. Well, I was going to say she works full time but doesn't get paid for it. Our kids are a full-time job plus, so no, she does not work out of the household, but she's got a 24-hour day job.
What advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
So I'm going to answer this broadly, and then I'll go specific to a career similar to mine. I think that no matter what, people need to be able to operate in an environment that makes them feel appreciated, feel worthy, and feel like they're contributing something. I'm not a believer that everybody can align their purpose and their passion with their profession. Sometimes profession is just a vehicle to fulfill the other things in your life that are necessary. But I would absolutely say that there are plenty of work environments where people operate in toxic shame, operate in a place where they're not worthy. And so I would just really encourage people to pay attention to how they feel when they show up in whatever work environment that they're in. If you want to go down a path of helping people, that can be done professionally, that can be done from a volunteer standpoint. I spent 40% of my time over the last 15 years in the community helping people on a pure volunteer and philanthropic approach. And it's only been in the last 18 to 24 months that I've committed full time towards the path that I'm on today, even though the business has been around for 6 years. And what I would say for individuals who want to coach or who want to speak or who want to build platforms to be able to help people improve and grow is make sure that you are doing something that is authentic to you, meaning understand that whatever you're going to teach, whatever platform you're going to build, whatever people you're going to work with, make sure that you can be an authority in that space. Make sure that you have relevance and credibility to the people that you'll work with so that you have the ability to actually help them navigate situations because of your own experiences or the experiences of people that you've been around or coached. I think there's a lot of individuals who hang their hat as a coach, right? Or we see everything in the world right now with all these fake gurus and people taking pictures in front of cars that aren't theirs to impress people that they don't know and don't matter. Focus on authenticity and who you are and how you can uniquely benefit the world. The world is starving for authentic leadership right now. And so if you have an authority in an area, if you have relevance and credibility in an area, then those are areas you can speak on. And those are areas you can help people. For me, I obviously have a very broad range of that. I am a pain practitioner. I understand pain emotionally, physically, spiritually, perceived, relationally, and mentally. And these are all things that allow me to leverage this idea of embracing pain to avoid suffering for people in their lives. But I'm also backing that up with 15 years of building and running businesses and leading people and teams, understanding sales, understanding operations, understanding risk management. And so I would just make sure that, if you want to be a health coach, make sure that you are healthy and that you put in the work or you've had some transformation and you have the ability to actually teach based on the physiological needs of people. On the flip side, if you want to be a digital marketing expert, like what makes you unique? What makes you an authority in that space? Make sure that you pay attention to not trying to build something that's based off of image, but build something that's based off of reality.
Do you believe in the statement, follow your passion and not your pension?
I do believe it, but like I said before, I don't believe that everybody can align their passion and their purpose with their profession. So I think as long as you understand that your profession might be a vehicle to help you fulfill your passion, then that's okay. Chasing your pension implies that money is the end goal, that money is what you're chasing, that financial success is what it is. And so the statement, chase your passion over your pension, I 100% agree with. But what I want to make sure people hear when I say that your passion is not always your profession is you can have a successful profession that you can monetize and can support your lifestyle as well as fund your passion and your purpose. There's nothing wrong with making a lot of money. There's